And we're live. Is that right, Andres? Okay, we're cooking. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Roller Pro Live. I got my main man, Art VJ, here. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
And we got Liv Eaton down there. Say hi, Liv.
Hi.
Okay. Well, we're here to answer all the questions that you might have about this product. But first, I just want to, I think, do some version of reiterating, maybe in a little bit shorter fashion, the insane feeling that has been captured around this whole office ever since we launched this thing. I guess now two weeks precisely ago. Yeah, these honestly rank among, I mean, certainly the better or even best 2 weeks of my life, quite honestly. No, really, they do. They absolutely do. We've been working on this thing for so freaking long, and we didn't, we never know what the reception to a product that we have is. And every one of us had like really sincere nerves in the lead up to this. I mean, that all the more so because we've been working on this thing for so long, and the company has grown, and we're waiting to see if this investment is going to pay off. And there is just for those who've been around Peak Design for a while, I think it's well known and well understood we don't have any investors. And I think a good reason that this company is such a wonderful place to work, and frankly why we put out such great products, is because it's, generally speaking, a pretty lax environment compared to, I think, a lot of businesses that are under severe pressure all the time to make investor demands and turn products around and things like this. But there is a reality, and many aspects of the economy have gotten tight and difficult, and to see such an overwhelming response to this product that we've crafted has given me so much joy and relief and affirmation. So a thank you to you guys at Kickstarter for showing up for this project. I really do not think you will be disappointed. You're going to love this product. So with that, let's go to the questions, shall we? Our friend Adrian over here, project manager for the Roller Project, going to be fielding those. How you doing, Adrian?
Good, Pete. How are you?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
What do we got?
All right. Let's go with how does the roller handle on rough surfaces? So we're talking cobblestones, gravel, grass,
okay.
such.
Sounds good. Now, Andres, are you going to a mic on her, or should I repeat that question?
No, I have a mic.
Wow. You guys are so pro.
They're very organized.
This is unbelievably pro.
I can even turn it off.
It's kind of
now.
overdone, if I'm honest. But okay, well, great. You already got the question. Who wants to field that one, Art or Liv? Let her rip.
Yeah, so the roller bag, we chose to max out the wheel diameter to be pretty large. They're 60 millimeter tires, and that adds complications to the design of the bag, but we did that in order to make the bag roll easily over rough surfaces. So it's no Jeep Wrangler, but it will overcome obstacles more easily than a bag with smaller wheels. What you would find on a surface that has a lot of drag, like grass or something, you might find that dragging the bag two-wheel mode behind you will be easier than pushing the bag in four-wheel mode in front of you. But I promise it's a positive experience.
Follow-up question. I actually don't even know this. Are these co-molded? Is this the hub and the tire, if you will?
Yeah. Yes, but not the parts that you're pointing to. So on the inside of the wheel, you can see the like hard plastic, and then the tire is overmolded on top of that. Uh-huh. And then this is what we call the dished cover. That's actually snap fit.
I see. That's
aesthetic. That's aesthetic, and then this cap is also aesthetic, and that is also a press fit into the axle itself.
Makes it easier too. You don't have a bunch of places for dirt and grime to get caught into, so that the wheel's easier to wipe down.
Ain't nothing wrong with a good hubcap, am I right?
That's right.
While you guys are looking at the wheel there, Liv, can you just show how easy it is to replace the wheel?
Yeah. Wheel replaceability was a big question, so.
This is a screwdriver.
Screwdriver. Little screw. Lefty loosey.
Oh, with the Phillips on that, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice choice.
Little lefty loosey. Woohoo! Almost there. Oh. Ah! Oh, I made it look messy.
Demerits.
Demerits. Not in front of my boss's boss. Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Remove the wheel. And then you can just, when you want to put a new one on, boop it a bop, screw that thing back in.
Again, leave that off for a second here.
Sure.
Okay. Talk to me. Let's get a little dorky here.
Okay.
Okay. This is, oh, look at that. Grease.
Yeah, yeah.
Steel. So this set screw drives in to this gap here.
Correct.
Okay. And so is the tip of this is not a special screw by any situation.
No,
Obviously,
no.
it's the one that fits.
Yeah, it's the one that fits, but it's just a screw for plastic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that pretty standard in the roller industry as a way of doing this?
There's kind of like two main ways to attach casters. You either do a set screw version like this, which is, in my opinion, a little bit uglier because you can see the screw from the front, but it's way easier to take on and off. Or you do a screw from the bottom. And when you do the screw from the bottom, it's nice because you don't see anything from the front of the caster, but you have to use Loctite, basically, to keep that screw in place. And so it's very difficult to replace. You have to overcome the Loctite to replace the wheel. And we decided that was not the right path for us.
You know, and people might think that at Peak Design we always choose aesthetics, but baloney, I say. We actually are thoughtful about every single decision. That's a prime example of, I think, making a great call. You're right, it is a little bit less attractive. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Art, we can talk about that in the skid things on the back here, and the hissy fit that you put up with respect to that, and you know, sometimes, sorry. You are a consummate professional. I don't mean to call you a hissy fitter.
No, I'm a hissy fitter. There's no question.
But maybe a little bit. But anyways, it's just not a purely aesthetic choice. You have to consider all elements of that thing.
Yeah. Also, when the screws are on the bottom, you actually see the bottom of the bag more than you'd expect when you load it in an overhead when it's loaded in the back of the car. So this allows you to use a significantly smaller screw than having a big bore hole through the bottom axle there. So pros and cons, of course, but yeah. Easy to replace the wheels. That was a big deal for us. We know that people put a lot of miles on these kinds of bags, especially if you're a professional photographer and you're using these things 5 days a week or whatever.
It is travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Adrian.
All right. I thought this one was good. Can the trolley handle heavy bags carrying like via pass-through or kind of second bag carry?
Totally. I can talk about the mileage test. Yeah, there's a literal test that we run for this where I can use this one as an example.
Don't you mean like you're shooting your first guys yes, like a goddamn champ?
Yes, like a goddamn champ.
Yeah.
And the literal way that we prove this is there's a test called the mileage test where you put the bag in two-wheel mode, like at an angle like this, like 45 degrees, on a treadmill for many kilometers, and it's being dragged over a treadmill, and the treadmill has obstacles on it, so the bag is, ricocheting off these obstacles, and you put a really heavy bag on the trolley, and you do that for hours. And our bag passes with flying colors, and we have multiplied that test a couple times over to make sure that we are really in the clear, and we are. So very confidently, you can do second bag carry with this trolley.
Okay. I think this has come up recently a lot on the Kickstarter comment board, is asking about making a cover for checking the bag in, if that was something that we thought about or if that was something we were going to make.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at Brendan. You guys are ridiculous. I have been thinking about that too. And currently we're not planning on doing that, but boy, do I think we should. Honestly, is kind of where I've come down on that. Sorry, I haven't really discussed this with any of you guys of the soft goods team yet, but in fact, I was actually considering just whipping up some prototypes real quick. Art, you have an incredible soft goods brain. Let's say in the next 20 seconds, I want you to think about how would you do a cover for this bag? Would you use stretchy PowerNet mesh with Ultra in it? How would you do it? Have you thought about it?
I've thought a little bit about it. I mean, it depends on what the goal of the thing is. If it's a storage cover, they make storage covers so the bag doesn't get dusty if it's in your garage or something like that when you're not using the thing. There's the sort of check-in security cover aspect so that the bag doesn't get as scuffed up when it's going through
I think that's
luggage. Personally, I think the fabrics that we've chosen for this bag, the trim set that we've chosen for this bag is such that when it does get scuffed up, we hope that it ages gracefully rather than just like being this shiny new bag and then it goes through the conveyor belt and it just looks like crap afterwards. I hope that we have achieved that with this. And then I guess the third option would be some sort of like rain cover sort of situation. If I were to do that cover, if we care about the rain thing, I'd probably use like a 210D or 500D nylon sort of PU coated backside shell fabric. You'd have to have a port for the roller so that you can, or for the trolley handle so that you can roll it around. Maybe something for the handle as well in a pinch. So some sort of port at the top, maybe a zipper or a Velcro or magnets or something like that. And then it would have to go around the bag and kind of expose the wheels as well. I don't think it's that difficult of a thing to pull off. It does strike me as fairly niche, and I'd like to see that people, what people's demand is for that over time once they actually get their hands on the bag and use it and stuff. But yeah.
Well, I think our comment board is about to light up with people saying they want that. I don't, although I fully agree, I think it does patina really well. A lot of people are going to want to keep this bag absolutely pristine, and when it goes through the conveyor, it simply is going to get beat up, and you're going to have this heartbreaking experience when you try to gate check a thing. And so I think particularly for our customer, I think it is a little bit of a miss. There's plenty of these on the market right now. Like if we don't get this thing produced in quick enough time for you to protect that, I hate to say it, but I recommend an aftermarket one, or about a medium-sized men's T-shirt does the job. I checked it over the weekend. Actually, it does the job. No, stretched over. It's got to be a medium. I mean, if you're talking large XL, you're gonna have a dangle, but this is a stretch job.
Did you cut
it's gonna
out
stay on
holes for the handles?
It has a hole right in the neck.
Right, but how about the side handles? Did those go
The
through
side
the arms?
handles? No, there's not. Actually, there are. I didn't. You can probably reach through.
Good.
Yeah. So.
And it stayed on while it was checked, like it came out.
No, I didn't do it. I just did it in my house. But my sensation is that it had a decent shot at staying on. Yeah.
I imagine it like if you
Peak
had-
design, everybody.
Yeah, I'm imagining if you had like an RV in your driveway and you have like a Daffy Duck T-shirt over the tires to protect it. That's
Actually, my
that's
wife
your
sent me
vibe.
these things. I forget. There's a brand where you take your face and it prints these things out. Oh, she's got me the link. It has your face, and it's just massive and stretched around your luggage, and so that you can identify. Their thought is so that you can identify your bag, because there's nothing as unique as a face. Anyway, it's a great question. I actually think it's kind of a no-brainer product for us. I don't think it should be that hard to come together, and we'll see how busy they are over there in the soft goods department. Pretty busy is the answer, but.
All right, let's pivot to the camera cube. There was a question about what other Peak Design bags the XL camera cube fits inside of.
It's just the 45-liter travel bag with the plenum removed, as well as duffels starting at 55 liters and larger, and the duffel pack. That's a 65-liter duffel pack, and one of Art's, if not his favorite bag, travel duffel pack. Next question.
Excellent. Is it cool if we lift the bag by the trolley?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Been hauling this sucker up and down stairs for years. There's another.
To be specific, there's another literal test that we do where you hang a trolley by this like machine that picks it up and drops it and picks it up and drops it over and over and over again. And we do 1,500 cycles on the trolley. So yes, you can carry this bag by the trolley. You can accidentally drop it. It's all incredibly strong and very, very rigorously tested.
Very violent,
Very
scary test to watch.
Is that the jerk test?
Jerk test.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1,500.
I pass every time. I also just want to take the opportunity to say that there's been some comments out there like, oh, Peak Design isn't a luggage maker, and we're new to the game, so there's an expectation that we're going to have gotchas that might not be there. And to some degree, I think that's a valid critique. We did invent a new trolley mechanism that no one else really had the guts to do, but we tested the hell out of it, and we did so with very industry standard testing. We did not invent these tests. right? We have exceeded them greatly, but take faith that this is like this is big luggage coming at you with the ASME tests and ISO 9. What are we up to? 9 billion, 7 sigma now. Yeah. Quote me. I dare you.
Yeah, and we have been working, on most of the parts that we've developed with manufacturers that engineer these types of parts for a lot of the companies you're familiar with. We're just doing it in a much more bottom-up way than most of the clients that they're used to working with. They love the trolley that we've developed. They're like super blown away by it. Just the level of quality and engineering and thought that's gone into it. We've managed to package a lot of mechanisms in a footprint that they haven't done after working on these things for a long time. And so it's not like we're just working on it here in the garage solo. It's a lot of people who have been doing this for a long time, making sure that we're not going wrong on it. So
this is actually the part in the process that's so curious, because you just know that there are a lot of companies that are reading hard through our IP right now and trying to figure out their way to build their own version of this, because this is going to become the new standard of what a luggage trolley shall be. And I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool thing that we have pulled off a number of times here at Peak Design, and I think we've got really excellent IP on it, and we'll see how long it holds up.
All right, we've got a question about the snap tent. We've got a couple questions here. So the first one is, how protective is the laptop sleeve?
Every time it goes to Adrian, there's Brendan. You get seeing it?
I don't know what you're talking about, Pete.
I'm sure you don't. How protective is the laptop sleeve?
Yeah, the laptop sleeve is pretty protective. It's so first of all, on the outside of the bag, in the areas where the laptop sleeve is present, we do have a polycarbonate shell. So it is hard shell on the outside of the bag here. And then on the inside, we have some closed cell Adelon foam that provides really good protection for like hard objects inside of the bag and everything like that. So it's comparable to, as far as the interior of the bag, the level of protection is comparable to our other bags that we've made. We have sort of established like minimum standards for those bags for protection, and we have a really good track record with those, with making hundreds of thousands of those at this point that have been checked and carried on and all of that. And with the hard shell on the outside, that level of protection is going to be even higher on this one. So,
what's the thickness of that hard shell compared to a standard polycarbonate bag that's being made out there? Isn't ours a little bit thinner?
It's a little bit thinner because we have additional structure via some honeycomb and some wire reinforcement in here. So we're able to go, and the foam and fabric on the outside also build structure into the bag. So it's about the structure of the whole system versus just the individual thing that we're stacking material on top. So we can go a little bit lighter on the polycarbonate structure to make up for that.
I think the main point, and if I recall correctly, you guys were kind of driving. You were driving. Is this about the thinnest that we can possibly vacuum form polycarbonate?
Yeah, it is. It's 1 millimeter, I think, and then standard is usually 1.2 to 1.5, something like that. Yeah, which doesn't sound like a huge difference, but it's over the whole course of the bag. It definitely adds up.
It's a 25% difference, 1.25 versus 1, and like that is obviously there's been a lot of critiques around there about weight. I think most of them pretty unfounded once you actually look at other bags and be like, oh, that's not a shocking amount different. But like there is thought in it, right? Like yes, there is a cost in terms of weight to having a composite layered construction, but what you get from that is not just an aesthetic, but a protection and a durability over time. And my goodness, is it worth it? And budget airlines are always going to not allow you to bring enough stuff. I don't know what to do about that. Actually, I do know what to do about that because I've flown a lot of them over the years. And what you do about it is you weigh it, and they look at you and say, you're a bad boy. And then you go inside and you take the thing out, and then you reweigh it, and then they let you go. And you put it back in there. Works every time. Like the people who are working the counters, they feel bad. They know it's a stupid rule. They don't even want to have to enforce it. They just don't want to lose their job. So anyway, again, quote me, but that's how I've always gotten around this. That's Europe, that's Asia, that's Latin America where I've had those issues before. And if you have Peak Design packing tools, we make it pretty damn easy to go in and you're not peeling every piece of Fruit of the Loom out one by one, right? You know, you go in there and that's right. That's right. We have a creative customer set. I think we can get around this. Yeah.
I wonder that we did get some questions about weight, aside from how to finagle past disgruntled airline employees.
Sure.
Do we have additional comments? Just we were talking about the shell and the fabric. Any other comments just about weight in general?
Yeah, you take a crack, Art. I'm ready to go on this one if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should chime in as well. I mean, I think it's just important to know that this bag is doing a lot. This is sort of the, it's the only bag that we're making as of now, but this is definitely sort of the pro kitchen sink version, all the bells and whistles. It has the expansion, it has the laptop access, it has the quick everyday carry sort of pocket on the front of the thing. And, you know, as a result of that, when you're doing weight comparisons, you really have to kind of put it in that class of products. So yeah, it's not designed from the outgo to be this like super lightweight thing, but I think when you feel the bag and the structure of it, you'll feel
We're live. We're back. Okay. All right. Art, let's just get right back into it. We had a little battery issue there, but we're back. We're juiced up again. I think you said all there is to say. There's not a this thing may add up to 3.9 kilograms. That may be a few hundred grams above what other just very simple, non-featured polycarbonate standard, just doing what you can to keep up with the Joneses, scrolling the Instagram type of bags. That's not what this is. It's a much better bag, and it's worth the extra weight, and it's worth the extra cost.
Yeah, I think maybe the one thing that I think I got cut off on was just the structure of this bag. When you feel a standard polycarbonate kind of 50-50 clamshell opening bag, the way like you can flex the whole bag, you can move the two halves independently. If it's not loaded and packed out super full, when you're rolling over things, the two halves of the bag are sort of like independent from each other. And this bag really does feel like a solid unit. It's yeah.
It's not on a membrane.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. We've got some questions about decisions, like things we didn't do or why we didn't do certain things. Well, the first one is actually about checked bags. Are we making checked bags?
I was going to give this one to you, Liv, but you'd be like, I don't know. What does he want me to say?
I can just
Blurt it out.
say the truth, or
Yeah, well, I don't, yeah.
well,
Give your truth.
give my truth. My truth is that we are working on more bags, and more bags will have more sizes, and that's the truth. And we'll leave it like that. Yeah.
Great. Why don't
Yeah, we didn't do sizes for this out of the gates. For one, to judge, or test the waters on demand and see what people thought about it, get some people's feedback from it, and then, this bag, by nature of it fitting camera cubes and the carry-ons being really required for a lot of people when they're doing transporting expensive camera gear, it makes a lot more sense to just do the carry-on size for us for now, because like it's just a different level of protection and expectations of protection that people expect in a carry-on size bag. So how this design translates into a check-in bag is a little bit different than your average polycarbonate off-the-shelf roller. So
The other additional color I'll add to that is that, this is another example of where I think Peak Design uniquely we've been able to simultaneously prioritize the working professional real deal photographer and someone who doesn't own a camera at all. That's thanks to the system that we've come into, the Camera Cube system. But we, as I'm sure most people have seen, we aspire to sell to more people than just photographers. We think we're, when I named the company, there was with intentionality that I stayed away from photography-based names because I wanted it to be a more general application to open us up to really the whole world of customers out there. And we started with the absolute primo best kind of apex predator bag, the one that we've been dreaming of. We understand that different sizes, different price points, different feature sets, like these things will expand over time. But this is going to be kind of that real quiver killer for quite some time. The way that I think about it, just from a business strategy standpoint, is that like kicking ass in photography legitimizes Peak Design as a brand. It is what allows us to approach a more mass market with, like a true air of authenticity. And I just don't. I mean, you can do that. Like other brands that are out there that are just like business school brands. All of a sudden they crop up out of nowhere, and they've got a bunch of funding from investors, and they're just pumping, a different version of a thing and trying to sell a lifestyle. This category of product, rolling bags, is rife with these things, and it's just not the way we do it. Like, we are here to define an element of technical expertise, and we can go to those more simplified versions, still probably better, hopefully in every single way, but we want the permission to do it first, and we do that by making the best damn thing we can.
All right. And Liv, why did we not ship this with a TSA lock?
Oh, yeah. Okay. We didn't design and incorporate a TSA lock directly into the bag because of a few different reasons. Remember the carbon fiber trolley. The point of the carbon fiber trolley is to reduce the amount of space the trolley takes up in the bag because we care about packable volume. The integrated TSA locks take up a lot of packable volume. That lock is like 2 inches deep into the bag, and we thought that was lame, and so we didn't feel super strongly about keeping that in the bag. In addition to that, you have to have the zipper pulls, or like these metal zipper pulls that attach into the lock and are how the lock works, and those are actually really painful to pull because they're big and pointy, and we hated that too. We also did some research and found out that a lot of people aren't locking their bags most of the time, even photographers. They would rather actually lock their bag to something rather than just lock the thing closed. And so for all those reasons, it didn't feel like an important and essential feature to keep in the bag, and kind of had a bunch of negatives associated with it.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of decided to let people choose their own adventure and get the lock of their choice if they wanted to, especially because a lot of people said that they really wanted to be able to cable the thing to an object to prevent people from walking away with their bag in a carry-on context versus people going in and pulling stuff out of their bag when it's, checked or something. This is a bag that for the majority of the time is going to be with you. So it's that sort of walk-away situation that I think is the more vulnerable aspect than the sly pickpocket situation.
Cool. We have a question about the front pocket. So someone's asking if you're looking at the EDC pocket, when it's open, if you can tuck, what I think the question is can you tuck snap tent into the pocket, and will that save space? And then just generally, my dad thinks that we should show that pocket. So he made a personal request.
Got a camera.
Yeah, we switch it.
Okay, I think what they're asking
Into
is
this.
tuck it in this direction.
Yeah, or under here.
The up tuck.
You can also put the tent over the divider if you wanted to. Tent over divider. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think that this is actually interesting. It's basically like if you intended to never use the laptop thing or very rarely use the laptop thing, I think this would actually pretty effectively lock it off so that you're not sort of accidentally going in there or something like that. I mean, the magnets already do a really good job of that. I don't see a huge reason that you'd want to do that. I don't think it really saves you much space, if any.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think the answer is, although, well, actually, you'd be able to utilize this portion. Okay, so that's interesting. Like, you could potentially get a little bit more volume here because the stiffness of this, I mean, it's a little bit stiff. I don't know. Certainly isn't something that we've considered very much.
Yeah, I mean this panel is very flexible, so if you have stuff in this portion of the bag, it's going to sort of pop out and fill that area anyways. But yeah, there might be something there where you save a tiny bit, but yeah, I don't know if that's something that we'd recommend really.
Call it a pro tip, maybe.
Yeah.
Not a feature, maybe a pro tip.
We'll investigate it. I think it's
Yeah.
an interesting idea, actually.
All right. We had a question if we would consider making aftermarket wheels that had locks in them. We could probably also address why we didn't spend more time looking
I think
at
we
locking
should
wheels.
do that. I like magnetic locking wheels was a feature that I was really into, and Rob did some prototyping around that. Liv, you're probably the best one to give kind of the backstory of that discussion.
Sure. Yeah, we were interested in brakes for this bag and explored a few different ways. So you can either have kind of an internal braking system where maybe there's a button on the handle that will lock a wheel, but that takes up a ton of internal volume, and it's quite a complicated mechanism that could easily break, especially when you pack the bag out and it gets checked. So that didn't seem like a great path for us. And we also looked into using magnets on the casters themselves to lock the casters from rolling, but there are some patents around that kind of made that development difficult. So we decided to kind of move away from incorporating brakes into the roller bag, but there are some other ways to do it, and we're still exploring and considering it.
Is the diameter of the shank here, is that kind of an industry standard diameter? Do you know?
I wouldn't say that.
No.
It's kind of per bag
Okay,
is how you decide the shank diameter. So, yeah.
got it. So it's not like there's going to be aftermarket wheels. Also, you'd have to have the exact same height and
set screw location.
set screw location. Yeah.
Take an aftermarket wheel and put it on there. Yeah, I can say it again. If you wanted to take some wheel that you purchased, some caster you purchased somewhere, and put it on this bag, it would have to have the same exact set screw location. And pretty unlikely. There isn't really a standard. That's a bag-to-bag decision. Yeah.
Did you ever look at, like, your standard, I'm looking, we're in a studio here, and a lot of casters out there, and a lot of them have locks. Granted, they're chunky, over-the-top mechanisms where you can either step on them once or level release. Did you look at those?
Yeah, that's what we're looking into now. Is what if it was just like a little one caster foot motion? It's an idea. Yeah, but it would add weight, and that wheel would get a lot chunkier. And there's probably some other drawbacks we don't know about yet, so we're exploring it. But hypothetically, we could design a locking wheel that you could then purchase from us and replace on your bag, and you have one wheel that locks, and therefore the whole bag doesn't roll away. It's a possibility.
That's cool.
All right. We have a question which is just about what are we the most proud of on the bag? So you could each answer this question maybe. It's kind of more fun. Instead of like, why didn't you do this thing? It's like, what are you excited about?
Well, I got the mic, so I'm going to go that. Oh, wait. Camera A, camera B. That's definitely the thing that I'm most proud of. It's just the thing that I have always kind of considered the tent pole feature of this thing. Nobody's ever gone into a roller and saw two giant pipes sticking down middle of it and said, sweet, I can't wait to fit my things between those. And so it just seemed like the most obvious hook of a problem with existing rollers, and the one that we did everything we could to make it disappear. It's a 6 millimeter thick carbon tube, and it's not like we've got it because it's one section as well. at every step that was really prioritized to be thin. Now, the other way we could have cheated and put it on the back side, put it on the outside, and like, yes, you could have violated the TSA rules, and some people would have gotten away with it. I'm super pleased with how we wound up with this. Like, this is the cleanest version by far. It's the one that's most likely to get, or well, there's no chance of any sort of TSA or airline restrictions. And man, it looks massively clean on the inside. So that's the thing I'm most proud of.
I'm going to do 2, if that's okay. I'll try and be brief.
What if you take lids?
I'm gonna take mine.
You want?
No, but you already took everyone, so it's okay.
Here,
No, no, I'm kidding.
why don't you go first?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's plenty I'm proud. There's plenty
All right.
I'm proud of.
All right, I'll start with the trolley that Pete pointed out. The thinness of the tubes is pretty cool. The carbon is basically the thing that allows us to do that, and then we have some really cool things about the design that allow it to be stiff at the top beyond just slim, which is really great. But the design work that went into the trolley was not take a standard luggage trolley and figure out how to make it slim. We actually started way bigger than that, and it was just what's the best way to take a piece of a box that you're rolling your stuff around in and put a handle at reasonable height and roll it around. So we explored handles that do sort of the, hoop style where the tubes are on the back extremities, in the middle, like monotube things, like fold out handles, like all like doing 6-section handles that only occupy a small thing here but extend to be very long. Pretty darn exhaustive search, and we did actually find some really cool alternate versions to mess around with, but ultimately the second bag carry is the thing that brought us back to like a pretty standard format for the tubes, and it ended up just being trying to cram everything that we had learned into that traditional format and just make the best version of that we could. So it was a very like peak design process where we just went super far and wide and then came back to like what is sort of the most obvious thing. The thing that Daring wanted to do from the get-go. So he felt really good about us spending a year and a half of trying out different trolley architectures, but I can sleep better at night knowing that we didn't leave anything on the table.
That's worth so much.
So, yeah. Thanks for that, boss. So the other thing that I'm really proud about, and I know this is not universal because I know there are people who like the 50-50 clam style opening. I personally think that they are wrong, and I have evidence to the fact that basically every other container in the world that you go into opens a lot more the way that this one does, where it's you remove the lid of the thing and you have a big bucket to put your stuff into. It's why we have storage bins that work that way. It's why your dresser at home is not a bunch of tiny 2-inch deep drawers. And while I think that the clamshell opening is nice if you're packing like a suit or things that you need to keep flat, there are just tremendous drawbacks to it. The one being the zippers always end up somewhere weird and you're doing this crazy like dance to flip the bag over to find the zippers and undo the thing. The other being that there are 2 sets of zippers. Every time you open the bag, you have to open the one set, and then there's another set of zippers that has to hold your crap so it doesn't fall over when you go to open it. And I just think it's just like, you just open it like the trunk of a car, and I think it's a really refreshing experience. It's not the easiest way to build a bag. It's not the cheapest way to build a bag. For the record, like the reason that all these bags do the 50-50 clamshell or like book style opening is because it's very, very cheap to build a bag that way. It's light and cheap and easy to manufacture that way, basically because you're taking 2 halves and then joining them via the closure. And yeah, we took a different path, so I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's a great explanation of that. You actually didn't take mine. I'm so excited. I'm very proud of the felt liner interior. I don't know if you can really see it. It is a little bit of a pain in my ass, but I think it's important that we did it because it's hard and it's hard to achieve and it's super stunning. It was a big thing that actually Art brought up early on in development of this product was that floppy liners, like when you open a 50-50 clamshell bag, there's this floppy liner inside and it like totally undermines the quality of the experience of using a bag like that because it's some cheap fabric. It like has this gross scratchy noise, and it's not like a nice place to put your things.
Literally the cheapest fabric you could possibly use is pretty much what every roller bag in the world is lined with. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so we wanted to take a different approach. And man, we tried so many different things. Like Art and I were literally in Thailand experimenting with different ways to use span and all sorts of different fabrics to make a really nice, beautiful bottom of this bag. And we landed with compression molded felt, and I think it's stunning, and I think it does seem like the interior of a car, and it's a nice place to put your things. It's inviting, and it's unique. So yeah.
You know, there's one more thing that I'm actually proud about. Every roller bag you've pretty much ever seen at the airport costs somewhere between $40 and maybe on the high end $80 to produce, but more likely in the $60 range to produce. Okay, ours costs $160 to make. I recognize that shows to you what our gross margins are on this thing. Don't worry, Peak Design is hoping to eke out 6% profit this year. We're not raking anybody across the coals, but it just goes to show you, like, if the whole of an industry is making a thing that costs about $60 on average to make, and this company is putting $160 worth of parts and labor into it, you're getting a higher quality product. I wish that the whole world was actually far more transparent about that. I remember I was walking through SFO recently. I had a little bit of time to kill, which is rare for me. It's with my daughter, so maybe that's why I was taking it easy. But I went into the Louis Vuitton store, and I looked at it, and I just looked at those components, the corner caps, the trolley, and I was like, I know how much that costs. I know how much that costs. Like, tops, this thing was a $75 bomb, and they were charging $3,200 for it. And it made me sick. I hate that aspect of capitalism and that aspect of just like that show me. Like, I'm buying this piece of shit, and because it costs $3,200, that's where you find the value. People have accused Peak Design of being a luxury brand before. We are not a luxury brand. I do not enjoy that assertion. You are getting a good value when you buy a Peak Design product. It might be more expensive, but it is not luxury that you're paying for. Yeah. Hey, they're snapping. These guys are snapping.
I'm going to answer the question too. So
Okay.
I think
Yes.
we talked a lot about the trolley and how like beautiful it is and slim, and sorry.
He's not there right
He's
now,
not
and I was saying he's on a smoke break.
But from functionally speaking, and I think if you went into one of our retail stores to check out one of the bags right now, you would be able to experience this at least a little bit. But pushing this bag is easier than pushing other four-wheeled rollers. When I traveled over the holidays this year, my wife and I had 2 rolling bags, and we each had a second bag on the top of it. And one was a company that everyone's heard of before, and one was our bag. They weighed the same, and ours is literally easier to push. And that is like just a very cool thing to feel and to experience. So that's what I'm excited about. Okay, we have questions about colors. So people are asking if we're going to make other colors, specifically Midnight and Coyote. And then I think it is worth taking a moment to mention kind of why this sage color art looks different from our other sage colors. That's come up a lot. So could you maybe speak to both of those?
Art's a color guy.
Yeah, sure. These are the colors that are going to be available for a while. We wanted to come out of the gates with a little bit of a range here, which is why we have 3 rather than just doing, black or just black and one other. So I would, if you're waiting for some other color to come out that you think we're going to come out with in the next few months or something, I wouldn't hold your breath on it. We will definitely do more colors down the road, though. There's no question, especially given the response that we've had during the Kickstarter. And the sage, let's talk about the sage a little bit. The sage is it's actually the same tone that we use on our sage products. It's the darker variant of it. Sage is it's like a 2-tone color, basically. It's this sort of light sage melange is usually the majority of the product, and then the zippers or the bottom of the bag is this darker sage. And
It is the exact same as that, like on the bottom of the duffels.
it's not the same material. This is a more, this material is tuned to be built for this bag. We developed this fabric. We didn't just take it from one of our other bags. We tried to do that, but it didn't quite. There's a number of things that went wrong with that. So the weight and the durability and all that stuff just had different requirements. So this fabric is designed for these bags, and but the color is the same, and it does look quite similar to the stuff we're using on our other bags. So we opted to go for a darker tone on it, because these are fabric bags. If people check them and use them as hard as we hope they will, we thought that it would hide dirt and scuffs and scratches better. And also, like, I love our sage. I think it's great. We're going to continue making sage products. The melange texture thing has just been a little bit off the trend line. So I think this sort of like uses the color. It's got, the sage is a really classic. It's sort of like surplus military inspired, but also just like really nice and airy and timeless. And gives it a little bit more of an update in this sort of like dipped monotone look. Yep. But if you put a sage bag on top of this thing, they definitely like, they look like they're from the same family for sure.
Kissing cousins.
Kissing cousins. Yeah.
Never heard that before.
Nor.
Is that a Midwest thing?
You grew up in the north. Sorry, just kidding. Sorry.
So let's see. I have another question for Art, which is,
Just
well-
offended all our Appalachian my in-laws are from Appalachia. I love it there for what it's worth. It's a wonderful place. Go on, Adrian.
okay. Well, I guess it could be Art or Liv, but the question is, why did we go with a custom key clip instead of the anchor housing like on all of our other everyday bags?
Sure. Yeah, God, this is like one of the more controversial things internally at Peak Design. It's really funny. I love anchor links. I was involved in the development of the anchor links with Pete here. Like, they're great, but in the context of a key, it's really fun to have the anchor link if you have one on your keychain, and like, it's this like Peak Design iconic thing. It's just in the context of a key clip, I think universality is very important. And if people need to clip their keys in and their anchor link is somewhere else and they don't have it, I think that that's a problem, and it's sort of a functional problem for the bag. So we, for both the outdoor line and the roller bags, opted to do sort of a carabiner clip style key clip to keep things universal. For the roller, we did a really beautiful little aluminum one because I didn't want to do just a lightweight, simple, cheap plastic one that we did on the outdoor line just to keep things super light. But so we developed a key clip specifically for this bag. We may use it on future bags as well, of course, but it's a nice little part.
We're not dogmatic about our anchor links. It's integrous.
Could we show how you would attach the travel tripod to the outside of this bag?
I'll
Scramble.
narrate that action so you don't have to.
Could you show,
Yeah. I think
Liv,
it's,
while you're doing that, could you show where the AirTag pocket is, since you have the trunk open?
AirTag pocket.
you're fetching the travel tripod. You'll do that.
Behind the org panel, there are two hidden pockets. This hidden pocket, kind of passports shaped, and then AirTag pockets here. So remove the org panel, AirTag pocket right here. Boop. I'll put a Werther's original in there.
Right.
Wow. There you go.
Another tribute to the South.
Yeah. Wow. Look at us.
Okay, you want to go cover on or take the bag off?
What do you think people mostly have? You can take the bag off. People can kind of see it a little bit better, maybe.
I think people have seen it with the, the Kickstarter video shows that with the tripod on. I actually have not seen it in the bag, so let's do that. And it's funny, I actually was looking, just staring at the Kickstarter last night. That's how I go to bed now. And I was looking at the location of all of these loops and recalling like you and Fed just pouring over all the potential locations for these things. Initially, here, let's get some light, get that key light on that. Here, can we either switch, yeah. Just wanna make, can we use a different color actually, just because we're trying to
Let me take this guy off.
trying to display.
I think that's a good one. Let's try this guy.
Okay. Cool. There we go.
Want me to talk through it?
Yeah.
We can leave this like that. So yeah, we have these cord loops all over the bag for different lashing points. And yes, Fed and I spent a silly amount of time figuring out the placement and where they should be. Like we made several prototypes of the bag where these loops were everywhere, and then we tried all these different discrete locations. So it's very intentional. So put your stretchy cord through one of the loops and cow hitch it. You can do the same thing on the bottom. Yeah, yeah.
Goofy foot.
Yeah, I'm not goofy foot, but I'm styling it right now. Okay, and then take whatever it is the object is, and bring it around, and get the loop.
Can't see the magic that's
I
happening
know,
over
we'll
there.
do it this way on this one.
Here.
How about I hook it, and
Yeah,
then we'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
put the thing through so you can see it. Yeah, fair. Well,
there's a couple ways to play. Let's go not through the handle because I think that's actually more impressive. There would be
Yeah.
for safety you could do that.
And just to show that like it doesn't have to be a Peak Design tripod to attach it to the bag. It should be, but it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be.
So what Liv's doing here is she's kind of pre-attaching it. It is I want to say it's challenging to wrap around and then attach, and it's like it's something that is a kind of a feature of this system that we have where it's a little bit tricky to get it in there. We've definitely explored that plenty. I'm comfortable with where it's landed, but this is a good method of doing it. Just kind of set it up. It's elastic, and then you're going to cinch that thing down. So
Exactly.
you'll have an easier time
Yeah.
getting into it that way.
It's
Similarly,
tricky,
do it. You could, because the camera can see this. So for
Yeah,
this
totally.
one, do it after the fact, and they can kind of
Once it's
see the
designed.
difference. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's
Yeah.
shove this
and
guy
it's,
in there.
It's tricky because you kind of run out of hands, but yeah. So I'm reaching around. I got my loop.
You can see those climber forearms working pretty hard to make that happen. That's why, like I said, but then just give it a cinch. And this cord, I still am kind of blown away by this. This is a Dyneema cord, right? So it's ultra. Where is the ultra? Is it sheathing it?
The entire sheath is. Yeah, the entire sheath on this cord, which is the same cord that we use for our outdoor bags, we kind of borrowed that technology. It's sheathed in ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. It's like Dyneema is sort of the trade name of that, and it's just super abrasion resistant, and yeah, it's like the most bomber shock cord of all time, custom designed by us.
So shock cord, the way that it fails, I mean, there's a couple ways. If the sheath abrades, then the elastomers inside are exposed, and they're going to abrade kind of one by one. That's the quickest way and the most common way that shock cord fails. Is it true, or what do we know about the propensity of shock cord to fail even with an intact sheath? Like, is this just a matter of time? Tell us what you know about that.
There's different qualities of cord that you can use for the interior. The polyurethane is usually what you're using on the interior. I've used, a very high quality version of that. The reality is with most polyurethane thermosets and stuff like that, they do have a bit of a timestamp on them. Something that has a compounding effect for them degrading is moisture, actually. So if they stay wet or in a humid environment for a long time, they can have something called urethane hydrolysis. I don't know if you've ever had like an old pair of boots sitting in the closet for like a couple of years or something like that, and you pull them out and the sole cracks the first time you wear them. That's one of the things that will kill shock cord. But we do sell them as replacement parts. We have yet to have any of these fail. We've been testing them for years at this point. They're pretty great.
I mean, I've still got boxer briefs from 8th grade, no, not 8th grade, excuse me, sophomore year of high school, that are getting a little bit loose in the band, but like, we use better cords than that, right? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about? I mean, you can put. Through that, but
You can put the loop through this, but then, like, obviously, yeah. I think what's almost more interesting is, so we've got this method where we haven't, we've kind of done it the easy way on top, right? We made the loop, and the question would be like, well, can it actually retain it? And the answer is yes.
it's pretty bomb.
So, the shock cord is incredibly stiff stuff. All the attachment points are incredibly strong, and so you can really reef on whatever you want to tighten this guy up. I mean, I have a difficult time getting that any tighter at this point. So I think it's a really excellent attachment system. And then, you can kind of leave it on there and
The stow mode is,
show the stow mode.
yeah. Stow mode's great. So
Wait.
basically, if you don't, because setting it all up takes a little bit of time. If you know the tripod is going to be something that you are using quite a bit, you can basically just leave these guys
Oh.
set up
Oh.
like this, which is
Never seen it.
one of the great things about the shock cord versus like webbing or something like that. So, yeah, I mean,
that's
you can
clean.
check a bag like that. There's nothing dangling. And
That's
then you
really
just
clean.
Pop these guys loose when you want to attach stuff. So you don't have to go through that whole rigmarole every time that we just went through.
Wow, that's cool.
And then same loops on top of the bag. Maybe that was obvious, but if you wanted to do, works pretty well actually to carry it here as well.
Excellent. Adrian, ¿qué más?
All right. We've had some questions about weight limit. So we talk about, people were curious about how much the bag weighs, but then there's also a question about, like, if I'm going to put my camera gear in here with an extra large camera cube, does the bag itself have a weight limit, and how we talk about that?
Like how much you can put in the bag before the bag can't hold all of those things?
Could you fill this with a neutron star?
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Did you know that a teaspoon of a neutron star weighs as much as the planet Earth?
I didn't.
So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, you could put a ton of weight in here. Like, you're definitely not going to have a problem. And like, can you sit on this bag? Answer: I think we say no. Truthful answer: of course. Like, I do it all the time. So I don't know. Thing's built like a brick shit house. Yeah, neutron star. Look it up. It's incredible.
So a bunch of camera gear should be fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Any plans to add suit storage or a suit storing accessory?
Well, I mean, one thing I will say is that the front panel.
This guy's all packed out. You might want to
Oh,
take
okay.
the black
I was
one.
gonna say
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, here.
The front panel, part of the, here at Peak Design Office, we call this the drawbridge opening, and the split is a 70-30 split or an 80-20 split, somewhere about that. This is a pretty good panel up here to flat pack items that you're worried about getting wrinkled. So, pants, jacket type thing. It's a little snug for, depending on the size suit you wear. I think my suit would be great in there. If you're a, 44 wide shoulder, whatever I can't remember what the suit sizing thing is. That's how many. That's how many.
You're out
yeah.
of your element.
It was
now.
my wedding and your wedding. That's the only times I've worn a suit. I'm not a suit guy. I'm a Californian through here, folks. So yeah, that's a pretty good option. As far as are we going to make a garment bag or some sort of dedicated suit bag, it always is on our surveys that we send out. Like, is this something that you're interested in? We make a lot of different travel accessories. That is a travel accessory. It always comes up, is it going to be on our roadmap or not? I'd say it's not in like the super near future unless people really show demand for it. It's just, I think of us as a bit of an adventure brand and having like great suit carry experiences while they're like is something that people need. I own one of those as well. It hasn't felt like the greatest brand fit for us, but I don't know, maybe. I bet we could build a good one.
Lay it on us, AJ. Last question, is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could do a couple more here.
Okay.
Let's see. Would we ever release an iteration with backpack convertibility?
A version with backpack compatibility.
Can I get a duffel strap over here?
Yeah, here's the thing. I think that if you want to carry a bag, you're going on a trip that you think you need a backpack for. I just don't think a roller with built-in backpack straps is the right way to handle that. There's two situations. One, you're actually carrying the bag on your back for a long period of time, in which case a roller backpack thing is never going to be like a great experience. And the roller bag weight, packable volume, all that stuff really does, cleanliness, aesthetics, all that stuff really is going to suffer for it. The other situation is you need something briefly to get you like, holy crap, I'm in some weird situation. There's a billion stairs. Like, I need to get up this thing. So it's brief backpack carry use. I think that's actually more of a compelling thing, but I think that's a better product done as an add-on. So in the same way that we have the add-on external carry straps, it'd basically be like a backpack harness that you could carry knowing that you're going on such and such trip and carry the bag via that for a short period of time. We have actually rigged that up and worked with that. We make a ton of different straps at Peak Design. We've rigged a bunch, like every strap we make up on this bag. None of them work great natively with the straps that we currently make. I have made prototypes for the bag that are dedicated harnesses for it, and they work quite well. Yeah, it's sort of one of those things. Again, it's just judging demand for it. I'd love to provide that solution for people, especially knowing where people are going to take this bag and knowing, situations I've found myself in with a roller bag where it's like every once in a while, like, man, it sure is nice. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
I think basically we looked deeply into this, and I sort of let it rest with the team. Exactly. And we've got a lot of pick points, and that means that we can do things in the future that are thoughtful about it. I also even think, like, so frequently your backpack need is going to be very short term. So actually a sling style strap is perhaps even better than backpack straps, just because there's one of them and it's quicker.
People have literally done that. So F-Stoppers did a review of this bag, and on their own just started slinging Peak Design straps to the roller bag to show that you could carry the roller bag with a sling. I wouldn't say it's going to be the most comfortable, but it's doable.
Yeah. Cool. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think
Any
that's
more
great.
questions there, Adrian?
I think there was just a question about the hinge. Could we demonstrate kind of like why that is a little bit special? And then Pete, I think we should wrap it up.
Cool. All right. Whose idea was the hinge? Robbie J. Cool. I mean, it kind of
the concept of workstation mode, maybe.
Liv, I'll let you talk through it.
Sure. The hinges are important because when you have this drawbridge kind of style opening, if you don't have these kind of burly hinges here, this front lid will wiggle like it has nowhere that it wants to sit, and it can kind of sit anywhere, and it'll sit in front of the bag and behind the bag. And so the hinges give it a point of view, a place to live. We actually also added a bunch of friction to the hinges so that they are kind of this high quality feeling, a slow open, slow close. You can kind of balance it. Totally, just like that. And that was the inspiration. And that's all you need to know. What was the question?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, the hinges are sweet.
Yeah.
And it helps, like, if there's weight in the front part of the bag.
Yes.
And this kind of workstation mode concept.
Yeah, so if you load out the bag with like a laptop and batteries and everything like that, it's just going to help that lid be stiff and stand open and stand in one place while you have it in workstation mode or super loaded out. I mean, the drawbridge straps also help with that too.
As does the honeycomb bottom board construction.
Totally.
It's like, I mean, yet another unanticipated thing, which obviously did push the schedule back, was that the whole thing needed more structure than most bags in the lower regions, and part of that is to support this hinging architecture. Is that fair to say, or?
Yeah, it's a mix. You can like it's to support this hinging structure, and it's also because we optimize the shit out of everything. And so if you could actually close the lid, we did really big tires, but we didn't want you to lose any packable volume. So we actually dropped the bag as low to the ground as we thought like made sense. And so these tires are actually sunk really deep into the bag, which makes this strip here very thin. And so how do you support the weight of a lid loaded out with a laptop on PC that is this narrow? And so there's a lot of thought into the construction of the bag, which allows us to basically maximize everything and have it still be reliable.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
So cool.
You guys did so good. You really did. You know, you guys have seen, if you've been hanging out at some of these things, you've seen a lot of other members of the team. Rob Jankura, long time. I describe him as kind of the first real engineer we ever hired here. A lot of us have engineering degrees, but this guy was already kicking ass, and he did such an incredible job on many aspects of this project. You guys have seen Fed. I think he's out of town right now. Angela and Daniel, and of course Adrian, and Liv, and goodness, who am I missing? Is that it? Is that the dream team right there? Throw Tom in there, you know, who runs product here at Peak Design. And Art hasn't actually been around for much of this, but like so much of the early concepting was Art's brainchild. And so I think it's exceptionally gratifying for pretty much everyone who has been around. And so I think we'll close with that same message of gratitude, and know that we got good vibes going on over here. And man, we got so much fun stuff coming out. Like it has been a hell of a few years. The pipeline is loaded, and when the vibes are good, it tends to load up with even more. That's when the creative juices really start flowing. So we should be having a lot of fun for many years to come. Isn't that right, Brendan? That's right, Pete. All right, y'all. Have a great afternoon. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.